Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial. This segment's being brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books done to educate consumers, grow their practices, and to leave a legacy. I'm doing a series of spotlights on remarkable advisors from across the country. Joining me on this segment is Stephanie Campos, and she's the founder of Campos Financial, based out of Miami. Stephanie, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Stephanie, tell us a little bit about your work, and specifically, who are the types of folks that you specialize in helping?
So I'm a certified financial planner, which is a little different than your average investment advisor because I'm considered board certified under the CFP board. It also carries a fiduciary responsibility where my recommendations have to be the best for each client's situation. My ideal client, well, I'm happy to help all clients, but what I find is that most clients are balancing taking care of young children in their own family as well as older family members. So we call that the sandwich generation, and that's where most of my clients fall.
Tell us a little bit more about that sandwich generation. I'd imagine everybody has their own sort of set of challenges. Is there like one or two big common challenges that you hear from that audience? Like, what do people mostly ask you, and what are they concerned about most when they reach out to you?
Absolutely. So one of the main things that we discuss is taking care of those older family members who have been retired for a while, are living in the family home, but they start to see that maybe they might not be in that home, for the foreseeable future. Maybe they need to sell it, or maybe they need to consider long-term care planning, or maybe they're not there yet, but they've had that experience with other family members. And so they want to discuss long-term care planning. And that can be anything from looking at retirement communities or setting up someone to visit in the home for a few hours a day to help with daily activities, or buying a long-term care insurance policy. So all these things come into play.
So what about this recent pandemic? Has this changed anything? Has it created any shifts in strategies that you recommend, or even just in the mindset of that generation? What have you heard?
Oh, absolutely. So, with the crisis that we had here in the US in our nursing homes, everybody was thinking about their elders, whether they were in a facility or trying to live independently during the early part of the pandemic. We're seeing a lot more life insurance concerns. We're seeing a lot more concerns about shoring up the budget and paying down debt. Because if you didn't have an emergency savings going into the pandemic, and if you were one of the many Americans sent home without any notice, then you had to make a lot of tough financial decisions in order to keep your household running.
I'd imagine so. Speaking of that, we're in the age of information overload, and I'd imagine you must hear a lot of myths or misconceptions or misinformation that's out there being spread. What kind of myths or misconceptions does that sandwich generation kind of hear and keep repeating?
Well, I think one of the things that some clients don't realize is if they have a high interest debt, there is a way out. And so refinancing it and saving, within the budget and creating that emergency fund, it's possible. I think some clients don't believe that it's true, that it's a unicorn or a rainbow that they might be chasing. But what I do is I help my clients put together a schedule, and we look at the budget and we say, there's $200 left over. Let's take that $200 over the next year, create the emergency budget, pay down the debt, refinance any debt that we can, and then continue to move forward. So I think especially student loans, some of the interest rates from years ago were 6%, and now they can be refinanced as little as 2.5% to 3%. So I'd love to see clients take advantage of that now before the rates increase.
When you start to work with folks, kind of linked to what we're talking about, do you see any other like common mistakes you see people making before you start working with them, or any pitfalls that they fall into that you can kind of warn people about?
I would say, since I'm a financial advisor and also an investment advisor, clients get very excited to invest. And I understand that. I love investing myself and I love helping clients invest. But when you jump into investments without first shoring up your budget, without first paying down debt, then you're really setting yourself up, not for success, but maybe possibly failure. And it's not that investing is not a good idea. It's a good idea for everyone, but it's not the first step you need to make towards your healthy financial household. The first step is understanding your bills, understanding your spending habits, saving, and then investing is maybe third on the list.
Great insight. Stephanie, what inspired you to even get started in this financial field and helping folks get their financial houses in order? How did you get started?
Oh, that's a good question. I actually was growing up in New England in Rhode Island, and my mother was in banking. And I saw her, coming home from work and organizing our bills, and my grandmother as well. They were very studious and good shepherds of our family income. So I knew that it was something that I had to focus on.
Right on. So before I ask you my last question, Stephanie, for folks listening that know they need to get started, but they just, they're not sure where to start, would you tell them is the most important thing that they should consider when choosing an advisor?
Well, I think a certified financial planner is the best way to go. A CFP like myself, and there's many others across the country, are held to that higher fiduciary standard, and that's what you really want. You don't want an investment advisor that is beholden to any one company or trying to sell any one company's products. So that unbiasedness, I think, is really important. And someone who's going to focus on things besides just selling products and investments, focus on the budget and paying down debt and the savings.
For folks listening now that would love to speak with you, Stephanie, how can they find you, connect with you, and learn more?
So I'm based out of Miami, Florida, here on the Eastern Seaboard, but I'm always available via phone, 305-874-7480. And also, of course, my website has a contact us link for camposfinancial.com.
This has been terrific. I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing with my audience today, and I wish you continued success for you and for all of your clients.
Thank you so much.
That was Stephanie Campos. She's the founder of Campos Financial out of Miami. And this segment's been brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books done to educate consumers, grow their practices, and to leave a legacy. That's all for now. I'm Mark Imperial, and thanks for joining me.